Someone in your life is killing your future right now, tonight, and you keep calling them family. You keep calling them friend. You keep answering their calls, showing up to their table, laughing at their jokes while your dreams die quietly in another room. Stop. Just stop for 1 second because I need you to hear something today that nobody had the courage to tell you. Happiness is not going to find you in a crowd of people who don't believe in you. It is not hiding behind one more apology. It is not waiting at the end of one more compromise. It is standing on the other side of a decision you have been too afraid to make. The decision to let some people go. I know that sounds harsh. I know somewhere in you right now a voice is saying, but they're my family. But I've known them for 20 years. But who am I without them? I hear you. I'm not here to make this easy. I'm here to make it honest. Because here is the truth. Nobody puts on a birthday card. Not everyone who started with you is meant to finish with you. Some people were only ever assigned to a season. And you have been trying to force a season into a lifetime. And that is why you're tired. That is why you feel stuck. That is why you wake up some mornings with no reason, no fire, no fight, just fog. You are not lazy. You are not broken. You are surrounded. You are surrounded by comfortable people who love the old version of you, the version that stayed small, stayed quiet, stayed available whenever they needed something, and disappeared the moment you needed anything back. And I want you to understand something today, something that could change the rest of your life if you actually let it in, instead of just nodding along and forgetting it by tomorrow morning. You were not created to shrink for anybody's comfort. Let that sit for a second. You were not created to shrink for anybody's comfort. Let's talk about pain for a moment. Real pain, not the version people post about. The version that actually keeps you up at 3 a.m. staring at a ceiling, wondering how you got here. Maybe it's the friend who only calls when they need something. Maybe it's the family member who reminds you of every failure, but never once mentions your effort. Maybe it's the relationship where you gave everything and got exhaustion in return. Maybe it's the version of yourself you built just to be accepted, and somewhere in that performance you lost the real one. I'm not going to stand here and tell you pain is a blessing. Pain is pain. It's real. It's heavy. It doesn't care about your schedule or your dreams or your bills. But here's what I will tell you, and I need you to write this down if you have to. Pain is not your enemy. Pain is information. Pain is your soul sending you a message written in a language you finally understand. This is not where you belong. Every uncomfortable conversation you've been avoiding, every relationship that drains you the second you walk away from it, every room where you feel smaller just for showing up, that's not bad luck. That's a signal. And for years you ignored the signal because you were scared of being alone. But let me ask you something honest. Are you actually afraid of being alone? Or are you afraid of being alone with yourself because you haven't spent enough time there to know who you really are? Sit with that. Because the people who are constantly begging for your loyalty while giving you none of theirs, they don't need less of your time. They need none of it. Now, here's where it gets uncomfortable. Because motivation without discipline is just a nice feeling that dies by Thursday. You can watch 100 videos like this one. You can cry during the speech, feel that fire in your chest, post a quote on your story, and still wake up tomorrow doing the exact same thing you did yesterday. Feeling good is not the goal. Becoming disciplined is the goal. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is self-respect in action. Every time you wake up when the alarm goes off instead of snoozing it for the 5th time, that's not just a habit. That's you telling your own mind, I keep my word to myself. Every time you choose the harder right over the easier wrong, you are building something inside you that no person, no failure, no rejection can ever take away. The evidence that you are somebody who follows through. Most people don't fail because they lack ability. They fail because they lack the discipline to keep showing up on the days it doesn't feel good. And the wrong people in your life, they will never understand that discipline because discipline was never their goal. Comfort was their goal, and your growth threatens their comfort. That's why the moment you start changing, the moment you start waking up earlier, saying no more often, working on yourself, chasing something bigger, that's exactly when the criticism starts. Why are you so serious now? You've changed. Must be nice. Yes, it is nice. It is nice to finally respect yourself enough to build a life instead of just surviving one. Let them talk. Let them whisper. Let them wonder. While they're busy talking about your discipline, you keep building. While they're busy predicting your failure, you keep showing up. While they're busy waiting for you to fall back to who you used to be, you become someone they don't even recognize anymore. Not out of revenge, but out of respect for the life you were given and almost wasted trying to please people who were never going to be satisfied anyway. I need you to understand something about hope, because hope has been sold to you as something soft, something fragile, something for people who don't know how hard life really is. But hope is not soft. Hope is one of the most disciplined decisions a human being can make. Hope is choosing to believe in a future you cannot yet see while living in a present that gives you every reason to quit. Anybody can give up. Giving up requires nothing, no skill, no courage, no character. But to wake up broke and still believe you'll build something, to wake up rejected and still believe you're worthy of love, to wake up exhausted and still show up for your goals one more day, that is not weakness. That is the strongest thing a human being can do. You have survived every single hard day you've ever lived through. Every single one. The heartbreaks, the failures, the nights you thought you couldn't take another step, you are still here. That's not luck. That's proof. Proof that something in you refuses to quit, even when your mind convinces you that quitting would be easier. Stop calling that weakness. Start calling it what it is. Strength you haven't given yourself credit for yet. Let's talk about the people who left, the ones who walked away, who chose someone else over you, who didn't fight for the relationship, the friendship, the family bond you thought was unbreakable. I need you to understand. Their leaving was not proof of your worth. It was proof of their capacity. Some people are simply not capable of loving you the way you deserve to be loved. Not because you're too much, but because they are too limited. You don't dim a fire because a small room can't hold it. You find a bigger room. Stop shrinking yourself to fit into relationships that were only ever meant to teach you a lesson, not stay for a lifetime. Some people come into your life as a blessing. Some come in as a lesson. The pain begins when you keep treating a lesson like it's supposed to be a permanent blessing. Let it go. I know it's not that simple. I know there are nights the memories come back. I know there are people whose names still make your chest tighten. I know it. But holding on to people who have already let go of you is not loyalty. It's self-abandonment, wearing the mask of loyalty. You cannot build a future while you keep visiting a past that has already closed the door on you. Now, let's talk about self-belief, because this is where most people get stuck for years, sometimes for their whole lives. You keep waiting for permission, waiting for someone to tell you you're ready, waiting for someone to validate the dream, the vision, the goal that's been burning inside you since you were a child. Nobody is coming to hand you permission. You have to take it. Self-belief is not arrogance. Self-belief is simply refusing to let other people's doubt become your own internal voice. The moment you stop needing everyone's approval is the moment you finally start moving. Think about every person you've ever admired, every person who built something real, something lasting, something that mattered. I promise you, somewhere along their journey, somebody laughed at them. Somebody doubted them. Somebody told them it wasn't going to work. They didn't succeed because nobody doubted them. They succeeded because they refused to let the doubt become the deciding vote. Your belief in yourself has to be louder than everyone else's doubt in you. Louder than your own doubt in yourself some days, because let's be honest, you are your harshest critic. You replay your mistakes on a loop that nobody else even remembers. Forgive yourself for the years you wasted trying to be liked instead of trying to be real. Forgive yourself for staying in situations you already knew were wrong. Forgive yourself for the version of you that didn't know better, because that version got you here, to this moment, still standing, still breathing, still capable of change. Let's talk about turning pain into power. Because pain that doesn't get transformed just becomes a prison you carry everywhere you go. Every person you've ever seen rise from nothing, from broken homes, from betrayal, from rock bottom. They didn't rise despite their pain. They rose because they made a decision to use it. Pain is fuel if you let it be fuel. It's poison if you let it stay pain. The difference between the two is one decision. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to let the betrayal turn you bitter, or are you going to let it turn you wiser? Are you going to let the poverty define your identity, or are you going to let it define your work ethic? Are you going to let the rejection convince you that you're not enough, or are you going to let it prove exactly how much you still have to give the world? You get to choose. Nobody else. Not your past, not your circumstances, not the people who hurt you. You. Every scar you carry can either be a story of what broke you or a story of what built you. Same scar, different meaning, you control the meaning. I want to talk to the person who feels like they're behind in life, behind their friends, behind the timeline they built for themselves when they were younger and thought life would go exactly as planned. There is no behind. There is no schedule that the universe promised you. There is only your path, moving at exactly the pace it's supposed to move, teaching you exactly what you need before you're ready for what's next. Comparison is a thief. It doesn't just steal your joy, it steals your focus. And focus is the one thing you cannot afford to lose right now. While you're busy watching everyone else's highlight reel, your own life is waiting for your full attention. Turn around. Look at your own path. Look at what you survived. Look at how far you've already come. Even on the days it doesn't feel like progress, you are not behind. You are becoming. Now, I want you to feel something shift, because everything I've said so far has been building to this moment. You have spent years being available for people who were never available for you. You have spent years explaining yourself to people who already made up their minds about you. You have spent years shrinking, apologizing, adjusting, bending for approval that was never going to come, no matter how much of yourself you gave away. That ends today. Not because I said so, but because you're finally tired enough, honest enough, and ready enough to choose yourself. You are allowed to outgrow people. You are allowed to outgrow rooms that used to feel like home. You are allowed to become someone your old circle doesn't recognize. Growth was never supposed to feel comfortable for everybody around you. If it does, you're not growing. You're just staying agreeable. Let's talk about discipline one more time, because this is the engine of everything I've told you today. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is the fire that survives after the spark is gone. You will not feel motivated every single day. Nobody does. Not the people you admire, not the people who built empires, not the people who look unstoppable on camera. What they have is not endless motivation. What they have is a decision they made once and refuse to renegotiate every morning. Make that decision now. Not tomorrow, not Monday. Now. Decide who you are before the day tries to convince you otherwise. Decide that you are someone who shows up even when it's hard. Decide that you are someone who keeps promises to yourself, even when nobody's watching, even when nobody would ever know if you skipped it. Especially then. Character is what you do when nobody's keeping score. And I want you to picture the person you're becoming, not the version everyone else is comfortable with. The version that scares you a little bit because of how much power it holds. That version doesn't chase people who left. That version doesn't beg for a seat at tables that were never set for them. That version wakes up and works quietly, consistently, relentlessly, while everyone else is still asleep, still complaining, still waiting for permission that will never arrive. That version has already forgiven the past because carrying it forward was costing too much. That version knows their worth doesn't decrease based on someone else's inability to see it. That version is disciplined not because it's easy, but because ease was never the goal. Becoming was the goal. That version is you. You are already becoming that person right now, in this moment, just by refusing to stay who you were yesterday. Let the wrong people go. Let go of the friend who only shows up during your low moments to feel better about their own life. Let go of the family member who calls your ambition arrogance because your growth reminds them of their own excuses. Let go of the relationship that taught you love was supposed to hurt this much. Let go of the version of yourself who thought staying small kept the peace. It didn't keep the peace. It just delayed the war inside you. Here's what happens the moment you finally let go. And I need you to really hear this, because this is the part most people never experience simply because they never let go long enough to find out. the silence that follows isn't empty. It's clean. For the first time in years, you can hear your own thoughts without somebody else's noise drowning them out. You start noticing your own patterns instead of everyone else's problems. You start hearing your own dreams again, the ones you buried under bills, under disappointment, under the exhausting job of managing everyone else's expectations of you. That silence is not loneliness. That silence is the sound of your life finally becoming yours again. I want you to think about the years you have left, however many that is. Nobody knows the number, but think about them. Do you want to spend them explaining yourself to people who already decided not to understand you? Do you want to spend them shrinking so someone else's insecurity feels comfortable? Do you want to spend them waiting for an apology, for recognition, for a version of somebody that only ever existed in your hope, never in their actions? Or do you want to spend them building, becoming, rising? The choice has always been yours. It just took pain to finally make you look at it honestly. Some of you watching this are exhausted, not sleepy, exhausted in your soul. Tired of trying, tired of hoping, tired of being strong for everyone except yourself. I see you, and I need you to know. That exhaustion is not the end of your story. It's the proof that you've been carrying more than you were ever meant to carry alone. Put some of it down, not all at once, just enough to breathe. Just enough to remember who you were before the world convinced you to shrink. You are allowed to rest without quitting. You are allowed to grieve people who are still alive but no longer present in your life. You are allowed to start over at any age, at any hour, in any condition. Because your story is not finished just because this chapter has been hard. Now, let's rise. Because it's time. Stand up straighter. Even if nobody's watching, speak to yourself the way you'd speak to somebody you love. Stop waiting for the wrong people to become the right people. They won't. Not because they can't, but because they've already shown you repeatedly that they won't. Believe them. The first time somebody shows you who they are, believe them. Stop rewriting their character in your head to make staying easier. You don't need them to change for your life to change. You only need you. This is your reminder, the one you've been needing for longer than you'll admit. You are not too much. You are simply too much for people who were never built to hold what you carry. You are not behind. You are exactly where your discipline, your patience, and your growth have brought you. And that is exactly where you need to be, to build what's next. You are not broken. You are becoming. And becoming is loud and messy and uncomfortable and absolutely necessary. Let the wrong people go quietly if you can, firmly if you must, but let them go. Let go of the guilt that says you owe your energy to everyone who ever asked for it. Let go of the fear that says you'll never find your people, your purpose, your peace. Let go of the idea that your value depends on someone else's ability to recognize it. You were never meant to spend your whole life convincing people of your worth. You were meant to spend it building a life so undeniable that the right people don't need convincing, and the wrong ones don't get the chance to doubt it up close anymore. So here's what I want you to do starting today. Wake up tomorrow and choose discipline over comfort. Just once, and then again, until it becomes who you are instead of something you have to force. Choose the harder conversation instead of the easier silence. Choose distance from people who drain you, even if it hurts, even if they call you cold, even if they don't understand. Choose yourself. Not out of selfishness, but out of survival, out of respect for the life you were given and the purpose still waiting inside you. Because happiness was never hiding in some far-off achievement. It was never waiting behind the next promotion, the next relationship, the next milestone. Happiness has been waiting behind a decision, the decision to stop giving your best years, your best energy, your best self to people who only ever wanted your convenience. You were not born to shrink. You were not born to beg for a place at tables that were never set for you. You were not born to explain your worth to people committed to misunderstanding it. You were born to rise, to build, to become so disciplined, so relentless, so undeniable in your growth, that your past struggles become nothing more than the opening chapter of a story people will one day study for the strength it took to write it. So let the wrong people go. Let go of who you used to be, the version that stayed quiet to keep the peace, that shrank to fit in, that begged to be chosen by people who never chose you back. And walk, not run, walk with your head up and your shoulders back into the life you were always meant to build. Because happiness was never behind you. It was never in that group chat, that old friendship, that relationship that drained you dry. Happiness begins the moment you choose you. Not tomorrow. Not when it's easier. Not when everyone understands. Now. Get up. Let them go and become the one thing the wrong people never believed you could be.